Alright guys, heading up to the lake today. Bought a new toy yet again. Sure you can guess what it is. Yeah, there she is. The Mariner Wiener. 2,600 bucks. Hope we can get her cleaned up. Filming purposes. Got a truckload of Amazon packages. Alright fellas, carpet came out really nice. I'm about to go over it a second time. Next step is polishing the pontoons. We got this side, looks really good. Next I'm gonna do this side. See how it turns out. Alright, back in the shop. Brought the seats home with me. It's in good shape. It's just the stitching that came undone. The material shrank a little bit, but I'm hoping I can heat it up, get it loose, and then sew it back together, or glue it, whichever. Gotta take all these staples off. Got all these cushions I gotta do. And I got gauges. Worry about that later. Alright, here it is a couple days later. Pontoon polished up nicely. There's still a little bit of residue on it, but I'll wash that off when I get to the lake. Cover fit nicely. I'm not gonna take it completely off because it's supposed to rain later today. But main reason why I'm here is to get the key installed so I can go ahead and see if this thing would even crank over. Hopefully the batteries that came with the boat are able to hold a charge. They seem fairly new, so I'm pretty confident they will. So let's go ahead and get this cover off and get to it. Alrighty, just gonna take it off halfway. It's a nice cover. The only problem is if it's not tight enough, water builds up in the center and it weighs it down. That's the only problem, but keeps the boat dry for the most part. So what we got over here is a hose. This is where the console was. I have that at home. Gonna fix that up a little bit and make it look, you know, better than it was. This is our culprit for today. You got gear selector. You got forward, neutral, backwards, those types of things. But this is what's holding us up. The previous owner lost the key, so I'm gonna replace this. I bought one on Amazon for 30 bucks. It's got the electronic choke built into it, so you push the key like that and turns the choke on because my motor is a 2-stroke. Okay, got the key in. And it's flat on one side so the key doesn't twirl around. And let's go ahead and put this nut back on. Like so. It's plastic, so you don't have to make it too tight, otherwise you'll strip it. You guys have noticed the boat's completely torn apart. A lot of projects going on. Took the seats home to get them reupholstered. I'm gonna see this battery held a charge. I'm gonna hook it up. There's also this one. I forgot which one was the main battery. I believe it was this one, because this one had the wing nuts on it. And a couple more packages came in. This is my bumper for the trailer. My battery compartment. It's got all my treasures and goodies in it. And set the battery in its place. I got a dual battery kit for this thing so I can run 2 batteries. This thing came with 2 batteries. It doesn't have the dual battery setup because it's only got 2 battery cables. So I'm gonna hook that up later on. Red with positive, black with ground. Perfect. All right, I don't think it's gonna do much. Oh. So it turns over. So I'm still trying to troubleshoot the wiring diagram of this. Google doesn't have much to offer. I did, however, find the ignition switch itself, but not the lanyard switch. So it's a 6-prong, just like mine. And you got choke, which is yellow and black, which is that wire right there. You got accessories, purple, which is down there as well. Then you got magneto, which is black. Then battery, which is red. I still can't figure out how to focus this thing. Then you got magneto, which is black. Starter solenoid, yellow and red. And choke is yellow and black. And all the colors seem to match up correctly. But what I need is the wiring diagram to this thing. On a positive note, the trim up and down does work. Doesn't go down all the way though. I feel like the hydraulic cylinder is rusted. I have to look at that as well, but it does work. This works too. Not sure if it goes into gear or not, but everything works. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be on all the time because the key is in the off position, but I'm gonna have to look into that as well. Worst case, keep the battery shut off. While I'm here, go ahead and see if these fit. So take the plastic ones out, like that. Upgrade to the stainless steel because they last longer and they're better in general. So that looks much nicer. A little loose, but I think we can get it to work. This one is a little bit bigger, but it gets smaller towards the bottom, which I don't like. But this one works. They haven't got the with some sort of rubber sleeve around here so it stays in better, but looks good. I'm gonna run the wire for the accessories and lights. I bought 4 rolls of wire, 15 bucks. I think it comes in 100 foot each roll, so it's 400 feet all together, different colors, which is what I want. So we're gonna go ahead and run that. I'm thinking, I guess, underneath the boat like they did originally, and we'll see how that goes. Alright guys, so I drilled the hole into the floor. So I figure it's the perfect size for these 2 wires because I have an anchor light back here and there's nothing running to it. It's got a red and black wire. I got red and black wire color matched just to help with my OCD. So go underneath the boat. This trailer is very interesting, by the way. It doesn't rest on the pontoons, it rests on the actual frameage itself, which I thought was kind of interesting. Kind of a neat design back in the 80s. So my goal is to get the wires ran through here, maybe, because I don't think they're gonna come through here because all that's closed off. All right guys, so I got the wires ran. There's been a change of plans. I ran through the floor, but I couldn't fish it through this plate here, through that hole. So I decided to run it through this hole. I'm gonna run some loom and tape it up and make it look nice later. But as long as I got the wires ran and they reach and everything, so we're good there. So that's ran. Now I gotta run the port and starboard lights to the console as well. I'm gonna run those on a separate switch because you only need that when you have the anchor on. And I came back here and I noticed I was having issues with my trim. The propeller wasn't going all the way down. It just kept stopping, like someone was resisting it. I came back here doing some discovering, and I noticed there's a lock back here. So you have to lift the motor up just a little bit. I'm not sure the hydraulic cylinder is leaking, but there's a lock here, and it goes up and it stops this from going all the way down. It doesn't rely on the pressure of the hydraulic cylinder is what I'm assuming. And you just let it down like that. So now it should go all the way down. So it's cool, got that working. That was a quick fix. So now I'm gonna finish running the wiring for the lights and maybe give her a quick paint job, not sure. I dropped the wire through the floor. Now I'm just gonna run it along these cross beams. Guys, got the wires loosely ran. I drilled the lights to the front of the pontoon there. I'll show you in a minute. I have another one on the adjacent side. So what I did was I kept the wires full, and since I'm running it on the same switch, I could cut this wire and splice it later, and I could have the two lights run off the same switch. So that's why I kept the wire like this. So I'm gonna cut it and splice it, and when I run the lights, they both should work. Just to give you a rough idea where the lights are ran. Originally they were up here, but this corner was square at one point and the light was right here, but since I cut it away, I can no longer fit a light there. So I just have it rounded off. I ran it to the front of the pontoon, figures the perfect spot for it. So that should work. All right, back at the boat. So what we got here is a battery bracket. Made my marks, 45-degree angle. Since this is an inch wide, I measure an inch from the center line out to here, and that's gonna make my corners for the battery because I'm doing a dual battery setup. Ran all the wiring for the horn. Here's the horn. Kind of anxious to see how that's gonna sound. And I also ran the wiring for my switches. I got everything hooked up. The only thing I gotta do is connect the wiring to the switch itself, and I have connectors for that. And it's gotta run power. These are all my power wires. The blue goes to the indicator light on the switches. There's two indicator lights on here apparently, and I want them both to work. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish that up and move on to the next thing, which is getting the motor painted, getting the gas tank put in. So lots to do here. Still don't have a console. All right, got the power ran in the ground. Now I'm gonna run these are the accessory wires because I twisted them with the ground and the power itself. So now I'm gonna have the power runs through all these because all these are linked together. Bought it like that. And these are the accessory power wires, and they hook up to these raw metal prongs right here. And I bought these at Advanced Auto. You can get either just a female or the male and female. They come in a kit. I couldn't find just the male, but as far as I know, these are male and female, and these are female. I don't know. I failed sex ed in school, so I wouldn't know. So it doesn't really matter which switch goes to which, because honestly I don't remember what these went to. One goes to the light bar, one goes to the horn or the anchor light. So I'm just gonna hook these up until I get them all completed. So use the first switch there. You got this one. Let's go ahead and open up a female connector, which is what I need. Stick it in like so. And then it has insulated, non-insulated. Non-insulated has that little nipple, but the insulated does not, because you don't want to puncture the insulation. But I've been guilty of that many times. Alright. Just push it in. Make sure you're on the metal, not the insulation itself, so you can crimp it down and it won't come out. Give it a tug test. Perfect. And then put that one on the second switch, if I can get it to fit. Perfect. Alright, now I gotta run the wire for the horn. Comes with a shitload of this stuff. This is for the switch. I'm gonna run it through the carcass, just like I did with the rest of the wires. And I'm gonna fish it up through the hole in the floor over there. I'm gonna run it to the switch, and after that, I can go ahead and run the power for all my accessories. There's the wire. Ran through the transom. Push it over here. Make sure it's not wrapped around the frame rail of the trailer, because when you go to put this thing in the water, you're gonna drive off and yank your wires out, and you do not want that. Then I'm gonna run all the way down to that hole up there. A lot of wires. A lot of them are the same color. Finish doing that, go and pull your wires through. Go ahead and make sure it's at a good length. Give it a cut. These wires are seamed together, so let's go ahead and pull them apart. Got ground with negative, red with positive. And I believe it's 18 gauge. Strip it like so. The positive wire goes to the switch. Alright, so I decided to man up and bring out the instructions. So since I'm running these two wires to the switch, these aren't going to the battery because I ran that part already. You got the positive and the negative going to the relay. These are going to the switch. And if you look closely, you got a white wire and a blue wire. And it says relay power supply. One day I can get this GoPro to focus. Relay, anyway, it says relay power supply line, positive and negative. So over here it says number 1, connect the blue and the white wires to the car horn plug. In this case we have a boat, so the blue wire goes to the plug, whatever that means. I'm guessing that's the switch, which would be the red wire, and black goes to ground. And number 2, it says if the car horn plug is a single wire, please connect with blue wire and then connects the white wire to the negative pole. So the white wire is a negative, which will go to the black, and then the blue wire goes to your switch power feed, which would be this. So that's what it says. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, here I am at the compressor. So white wire goes with negative. At least that's what the instructions said, but I'm not an electrician, don't take my word for it. But won't hurt unless you try, am I right? Just go ahead and strip this wire. Get that up to the white wire. In worst case, if this does short out, it's on a fuse. Lucky for me. And red wire goes to the blue wire, which is the positive post. But we're running it through the switch. This is constant power until it's got a fuse. So that's a good sign in case if anything goes wrong. Alright, just like that, and you're done. And here's the ground wire. There's labels on the compressor itself. You got negative and you got positive. This is a negative. You could ground it to the negative post of the battery. Honestly, you could ground it anywhere as long as you have a bare metal surface on the chassis itself. About to get the mount installed. Make sure it's as square as possible. First things first, pre-drill. Perfect. All right, now I got both batteries in. Next step is to install a dual battery cutoff. Now, seems pretty straightforward. Comes with instructions. It tells you what the wiring diagram and everything is. So go ahead and observe this. So you got two posts on the back, which are these guys. You got the primary battery and the secondary battery. And the yellow wire is your override switch. So you have to run this to a switch. So as far as I'm concerned, this kit does not come with a switch. So we're going to have to run it to one of those switches up there. So you know what that means. We have to go back underneath the boat and run some more wires and add to our rat's nest. And then I'm gonna finish hooking these two terminals up, and it comes with one big roll of some battery cable. So what we're gonna do is cut it and adjust it and get it to the length you want. And it also comes with some hardware and some battery terminal connectors and some heat shrink. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook those up and get this cut to my length, and we'll go from there. That comes with a little I think I'm gonna run it, maybe mount it here. I think that'd be the best bet. So go ahead and get it where you want it. All right, that seems good. Go ahead and get your snips. Got it right about there. Save this for later, might need it. And then I'll go ahead and tighten these up. Okay, so before we get both batteries hooked up, I'd rather work on wires with no power run to them. So what we have here is the yellow wire. I connected it to the override wire, which I believe means a switched wire. And if you look closely, that right there shows an open circuit, and that right there represents a switch. So you got the yellow wire and you got the black wire run to earth ground, and you got another black wire that is constant ground. So since this is an override wire, you want to run the yellow wire through a switch and then run the other end of the switch to a ground. Now I got confused because I thought the yellow wire ran to a power source switch, but it turns out it just runs to the ground. So what I'm gonna do is this switch right here, you got power and you got this prong right here. So I'm gonna flip it upside down like so. So you got pin connectors 2, which is on the top. Then you got number 3, which is at the bottom. And right now, I have my voltmeter set on continuity test. So if there's a connection in the wire, it'll beep. And right now, it shouldn't beep because the switch is off. So they're not connected. And when I go to turn the switch on, put that back in there like so. Now they're connected. So these two complete the circuit. And I had this wire, which is a power wire, running to this switch. These switches are made to either turn something on or turn something off, like lights or whatever. But I'm using this basically as a breaker. So when I flip the switch on, it should turn on the second battery or the relay, which will then charge both batteries. So be sure you disconnect your red wire because you do not want any power running to the switch whatsoever. If you do, you'll cross a positive with your ground and you'll short something, possibly cause an electrical fire. And you do not want that. So I'm gonna cut this wire, splice it, and add a connector to it. And then this pin on the top here, I'm gonna run that one to my ground source, which is right here. And then when I flip the switch, it should do its thing. A little bit terminals on. Go. All right. Seems good. All right, I'm gonna finish hooking up the rest of my stuff. Negative. So notice here, you got a little LED light. That's an indicator light, letting you know that both batteries are on and off. And right now it's off. And if I did the job correctly, come to the switch, it is the only one that is lit. And come turn on like that. It's hard to tell, but that LED light is now on. So this whole entire mechanism now works. So we did everything correctly, and that's what we want. Yeah, they all should have power going to them. And I don't know if this works yet. Oh, that's right. I didn't hook this wire up yet. So I still, in order for my accessories to work, I gotta hook all these up and get them to work. And when I get these hooked up, all my accessories and everything should work. All right, got the switches ran, power works, cigarette lighter works, all the switches and everything work. Trying to figure out which one's the light bar. Yep, light bar works. Turn the next one on. I believe those run the port and starboard lights. Yep, they work. So does that one. All right, been a pretty productive day. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the GoPro off because it's about to die, but now my horn doesn't work. So I gotta figure that out. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that real quick. I believe it's a ground issue because I got lazy and ran the ground to the side of the panel here. The way you can test the good ground is you hook up your continuity, see if it beeps. So hook one up to the negative post of your battery since you're testing ground. And this is where the other ground source is. All right, something's up, it's beeping. So that's a good connection. Spazzing out. Okay. All right. I either have a short or I have a bad ground. So I'm gonna trace that down and see if I can figure out the problem. All right, now that most of the electrical is out of the way, let's go ahead and get started on the gas tank. Now I'm gonna remove these three. A lot of people recommend 3 gas tanks, but I personally don't. So I purchased a plastic 12-gallon fuel tank. And I also bought a sending unit for my gauge, so I want to be able to read what fuel level I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole in the center of the tank somewhere and get the fuel sender installed and then get the tank installed. So let's get to it. All right, twist and pull like that, get the fuel line out. These tanks out of the way. This one's empty. This one is full. All right, spotless under here. Move all this junk. Get that out of here. Go get your tank mocked up. It's perfectly. Mounts it like that. Probably the best way to go. I believe this comes off. So now I'm gonna get my fuel sender. All right, so got a Sawzall. Honed out the hole is a little bit bigger. And also my other holdup was the bracket itself. The bracket originally came with this piece, and if you notice there's a lot of adjustment involved. This piece was originally down here and it was extended all the way out for, you know, bigger size gas tanks, but I don't need the second piece. So what I did was I just screwed this piece, which is the sender unit itself. This is the part you need, and I screwed it to this upper piece. And since it's not a very deep tank, I'm gonna do some measurements, kind of eyeball it. So this is where it's going to sit on the top flush like this, and this is the halfway mark. So what we're going to want to do is lower it down like so, and then move your sender to where it's at the halfway point, and this is the halfway mark. Go ahead and line it up like so, kind of get a rough estimate where it's going to sit, and then get your drill. Tighten it up. See how that fits. Looks perfect. And if you want, you can go ahead and wrap up your wire, clean it up, make it look good. And I'm going to do that real quick. So what you're going to want to do is let your sending unit bottom out. So that's all the way to E for empty. Go ahead and level it up again. Kind of get a rough estimate where it's going to sit. Right about there. I went ahead and used different screws, considering that these are made from metal and these have a drill tip at the end of them, so I'm able to screw them in plastic, but it's in there snug now. Next thing is to vacuum all that strap out, and yeah, that's the tank. So, Alright, just like that. Alright, got the tank installed, all strapped up. Looks really good. Just got the motor painted. It's better than I did before, that's for sure. Got the bottom painted. Got the rudder painted. Now I'm just gonna paint the propeller. Take the leaves out. I don't have the lock on, that's why it came back down. Just give it a quick paint job. It's gonna be in the water 90% of the time anyway, so you'll never see it. Real good, real good. Beautiful. Perfect. She's alive.
Go take it for a spin.
Water's too choppy.
Well, go just take it around a little spin. Well, you and Dad spin it. Make sure it's gonna run.
It's gonna run. Stop it. We got oars.
Don't you have ropes in this thing for the ropes?
I'm filming.
Maiden voyage.
Hey Tyler, is this one where you can go all the way around like a car?
Yeah. Alright guys, here I am back at the boat. Just got done painting this rub rail down here. Decided to go with the black finish. Also got the doors put on, looking good. Other side as well. This boat's really taking shape. If you notice, it's dark out. I know, you guys probably hate me filming in the dark, but there's a lot going on in my life right now. This is the best I can do. And yes, it's also raining. But I I have the boat taken apart again. I had to do some touch-ups on that wall. Got the battery compartment painted, gas tank compartment painted. Looking good. Did good on the water too. Took it for a test drive and it's doing really great. So I'm gonna come back in a couple days and check up on the paint when it's fully dry and finish putting everything back together. Oh, there's a roach. And we'll go ahead and go from there. That's painted, looking good. Got a few paint droplets on the carpet, but that can be pressure washed out. My next thing is to get the trailer fixed. Get the tongue on it replaced. I believe the one on there is 1 7/8 inches, which back in the day that was a common size, but now everything is 2 inch now. So I'm gonna replace that so I don't have a separate ball that's a different size. I'm also gonna replace the jack for the trailer. I'm gonna put some ski runners on the trailer because this trailer does not have any at all. It's just metal on metal, and I don't like that at all. So I'm gonna fix that. But I'm gonna go ahead and get going. Nothing good happens after midnight. It's 6:30, almost 7 now. It's probably the latest I've ever stayed here. And this whole side light area does not work at all. That side does. That doesn't do me any good. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up and I'll come back Thursday. There she is. Say goodbye to Mary, everybody. That's her name, by the way. I'll tell you what, I sure hope this place is 24 hours, because if not, the gate's gonna lock me in. I have to spend the night here, and I got work in the morning, so we'll see.